From Englewood High School in Englewood, Colorado, Amateur Sports Video presents the 20th Annual Colorado Boys Class 5A State Soccer Championship. Hi everybody, I'm Dallas Davidson. I'll be calling the action. Joining me for tonight's color commentary is our soccer expert, Tom Stone. Tom played collegiately at Duke University for the Colorado Foxes, 4 years at forward, and is the current director of coaching for the Lakewood Fury Soccer Club. Welcome aboard, Tom.
Thank you, Dallas. I'm really excited about tonight's match. On the one hand, we have the Arapahoe Warriors, who we're used to seeing here at the 5A state finals. On the other hand, we have Arvada West, who is a real up-and-coming program with an excellent coaching staff. I'm interested to see how the two face off here under the pressure of a state final.
We'll go now to the PA announcer for the introduction of the rosters.
From Arvada West. Number 0, Josh Graver. Number 4, Pat Muino. Number 7, Josh Aramuspi. Number 8, Tony Moscoso. Number 9, Matt Bolton. Number 15, Amos Spencer. Number 16, Lenny LaGuardia. Number 17, Nathan McComas. Number 21, Mike Lyons. Number 33, Tim Peel. Number 38, Brian Johnson. Number 41, Brad Moore. Number 101, Dylan Martinez. Number 201, Sean Morris. The starting lineup for Arvada West. Number 1, Josh Koss. Number 3, Nathan English. Number 5, Han Gluff. Number 6, Brian Shrunk. Number 10, Bears DePoyen. Number 11, David Pierce. Number 12, Seth Musselman. Number 13, Danny Brinkman. Number 14, Zach Fisher. Number 18, Josh Whittler. Number 20, Casey Conley. Assistant coaches, Jerry Coco, Luke Weeks. Head coach, Rafael Amaya. And for the home team, Arapahoe Warriors. Goalkeeper, Peter Rowe. Number 2, John Rise. Number 4, Scott Bikely. Number 7, Eric Erickson. Number 14, Jake Jenkins. Number 17, Matt Moyers. Number 18, Ryan Todd. Number 19, Zach Kwan. The starters for tonight. Goalkeeper, Ben Fairley. Number 3, Larry Curtis. Number 5, Brian Wellen. Number 6, Ivan Wood. Number 8, David Myers. Number 9, Brian Becker. Number 10, Nathan Lambert. Number 11, Andy Dixon. Number 12, Jeff Yak. Number 15, Chad Watts. Number 16, Jonathan Rosaluk. Assistant coaches, Mark Hamster, Jeff Krause, Dave Lambert, Stu Johnson, head coach Kirk Fast. The referees for tonight's contest, on the lines, Rod Champney and Mike McNevin. The referee, Joe Lair. And now, would you please stand and join us in honoring our country with the singing of the national anthem by Miss Zoe McGuire.
Oh, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red
national anthem by Zoe McGuire, and we are just about ready to go. We got a little bit of a spirit scrum, to borrow a term from rugby, going on there with the Arapahoe Warriors.
No, Dallas, that's a new one. I haven't seen that before. It looked like they were beating the heck out of each other before kickoff.
A big crowd here tonight at Englewood High School. This is a big match, and a lot of people have turned out from both schools. A lot of spirit evident on both sidelines tonight, and we're looking forward to a spirited game as well.
You know, Dallas, you talk about spirit, you can't help but talk about the Arapahoe Warriors program. I mentioned in the open that they're here, it seems like year in and year out, and one of the big reasons for that is their booster club and their support of their school. They have a tremendous amount of supporters that come out and cheer for them, not just in the finals, but everywhere. It'll be exciting to see if the Arvada West parents and supporters can keep pace, I should say, with the Warrior parents.
Those were the Wildcats taking the field in the purple and white, deep purple shorts with a white jersey with some purple embellishment on it. You can see the ball being handled there, the familiar pentagon and hexagon pattern, familiar to soccer fans worldwide, becoming more familiar to Americans, especially after the World Cup that was held here for the first time in 1994. We're just about ready for the kickoff. Arapahoe, their colors are black and old gold, but they're essentially a white jersey and white shorts.
That really comes, Dallas, from their arrangement with Adidas this year. They got their uniforms through the Adidas sponsor, and they don't think they make a black and gold. And Adidas is real particular about switching their colors for one team.
And we're underway. The referee for this match is Joe Lair, who I believe you're acquainted with.
Yeah, I've known Joe for quite some time. He's been refereeing here for a while. He's one of the state's best referees. He's one of the most accomplished referees in the state and the region. As a matter of fact, this is one of Joe Lair's last games. He's transferring, his job transferred down to Florida, and they're getting a good referee, and we're losing a good one. So it's a nice tribute to his career here as a referee.
Great way to go out to referee a championship match.
Well, he'll be happy. He won't have to throw me out of any more games.
So we're underway. Arapahoe comes into this contest with a 13-1 regular season mark. They administered some real whitewashing to some opponents this year. They beat Aurora Central 10-0 in the last regular season contest before the playoffs.
Talk about Arapahoe's season this year and seasons in the past. They're now the defending state champions. They won last year. To be honest with you, Dallas, as strong as they've been at the end of the year, they were not a preseason favorite. The names that were being thrown around were Chatfield, Columbine High School, possibly Green Mountain High School. Those are the big names that everyone was talking about because mainly Arapahoe had lost some big players. They lost Justin Rose, the All-American who's at Clemson now. They lost several of their defensive players. But this team has picked up right where last team left off, and they have so much tradition and so much experience in their younger players that this has just been a great season for Coach Bass.
So this is essentially a contest between an established program and an up-and-coming program.
They've really got the have and the have-nots. Arvada West hired a new coach this year named Rafael Amaya, Fox's player, excellent coach, excellent student of the game, and he's really brought some tradition into this program, to this team. He's brought some spirit in. He's let the kids know he cares about them, and he's given them probably the best coaching that they've ever had, and you can see the result of it here. He took a bunch of kids that were very good athletes and were already talented players, and he gave them some organization, some discipline, and some belief level, and here they are. And I know that Coach Bass can respect that because that's how he's built his program over the last 10 years.
And there is, I believe, about the first serious attempt on goal by either team in the early going.
That was really a big miss, actually. And it was a proper choice of the foot there. He went with the inside of the foot to place it in the upper corner. That was right. He composed himself, but he just didn't keep his head down. And if you look at it, I think if we had a replay, you'd see he picked his head up in the last minute, and that's what sent the ball over the top.
I want to clarify something to the viewers of this video, that the markings that you see in white on the field are for football, the amber markings, which are circumscribed the football field about 5 yards outside. Now you'll see it there in the bottom of the frame. It's just outside the bottom of the frame is the amber marking, which denotes the touch line for purposes of this match. The amber markings are the ones to keep in mind for this match. It's a very chilly and humid evening here, seasonal in that respect, since it is middle of the fall now, November 11th.
I think you're being kind, Dallas. It's freezing. It's very cold here, and you can see the players will get moving, and they'll be warm, but by halftime, our jaws may be set.
It's a lot colder for us than it is for them, I know that.
No question about it. Let's keep an eye on the styles here, Dallas, and see what we can find out about the way they want to play. You know, in the past, Arapahoe's had the bad rap of being a very physical, a kick-and-run team. They play most of their home games on AstroTurf up in Littleton, and that doesn't lend itself to a real controlled passing game. But the last couple of years, they've really instituted a control-oriented style, and a lot of it is because of the players that he's gotten there. They've been able to do that. They have the skill to do that. In the first few minutes here, we see from both teams, it's just been kind of scattered. They're both feeling each other out. About West, I'm not sure what they've decided to do. If they decided to run at them or if they decided to knock it around a bit. We'll have to sit in and see.
Coaches do tailor the style of play to their personnel, I know, in the FIFA world. And as epitomized by the World Cup teams, they have very distinctive styles.
Well, you're absolutely right. I mean, the most skillful team in the World Cup was who? Brazil. And what was the team that played the most possession-oriented soccer? Brazil. That's not to say the English can't play a beautiful style of soccer. They certainly have the skill to do it. But they're most known for knocking the ball and chasing after it, and that's because of the conditions they play in year out. You know, for 2 months in a professional season in England, if you can't kick it 60 yards out of the mud, you can't play. So it's not only the personnel, but it's also the conditions you play in.
Have these upper echelon programs grown to the point where they can recruit quality soccer players? And there's another drive. They can recruit from players from elsewhere around the state. It does happen in football occasionally, as in at Mullen this year. They recruited High Lewis out of Douglas County to come to their program.
So you're talking about the difference between a private school and a public school. And the public school system, you're not allowed to recruit anyone. If people are allowed to move into your district, and I think we have open enrollment in certain situations, players can move without having to sit out. But a public school, high school coach is not allowed to coerce or try to talk anybody into coming to their school. That's one of the Evangelist Regis school has. They've won several state championships. I believe they're in the 4A here in the finals, and they're able to do that. They can offer quality education, and you have to pay to go there, so they're allowed to recruit, and they do a good job of that.
Field appears to be in excellent shape.
It's in good shape. You know, they tore it up last year. Last year at the high school finals, after all the football games and in the soccer finals, they completely destroyed it. They had to push the games back because of the snow, and it was really a mess. And they have laid in a completely brand new field. Unfortunately for soccer, football played a full schedule here, so it's not in the shape it was in when they first opened it up. But it's flat, it's fairly dry, and it's wide enough. You know, the Foxes used to play our games here, so I'm very used to this field. And the thing we did like about it was the size. It's a good 115 by 75 or 80, and you know most teams would prefer a larger field.
And the size of soccer fields does vary.
The maximum you generally see is 120 by 80. That's about as big as you want to play on. But a lot of these fields are 110 by 65 by 68. And you start really changing the entire look of a game when you start messing with the dimensions of the field.
Well, there was an example that looked like there was a little shaky footing there.
Could be, and a lot of these kids, if they know what they're doing, and most of them do, will have their studs on. It's a screw-in cleat. It'll sink into the field. If it's moist at all, they can wear studs. It's similar to football players or baseball, although they're not. The spikes are not quite as small. They're not intended to hurt anybody.
That was Seth Musselman for the Wildcats who had his feet kind of off from under him there. That was him trying to control the ball. But in terms of personnel, are there any matchups in this game that are going to present problems for either coach?
I'm not really sure, Dallas. I haven't seen Arvada West play as much as I would have liked, but I know from the Arapahoe side that Coach Amaya has got to be concerned with the big four, which are Nathan Lambert, Andy Dixon, Jeff Yak, and Chad Watts. If you just read the Rocky Mountain News or the Denver Post, those are the names you see every week in and week out getting the goals and the assists. And I know he's got to concern himself with the offensive ability of those four players. As far as scouting Arvada West, I know I was at one of their games early in the year, and I saw several of the Arapahoe coaching staff there watching, and they have a good idea of what they're dealing with, and they're very prepared. So I'm sure they've, you know, in soccer you really want to identify a few players. I don't think you want to go through and identify all 11 or all 15 and talk about each one of their strengths and weaknesses. I think you identify a few that you know you need to shut down, and then let yourself play. You never want to change your team too much, because obviously both teams have done it right, or they wouldn't be here.
Assess the style of play so far as in the early going here, as we're about 8 minutes into the first half.
Well, I'm pleased. I'm very pleased. You don't see either team trying to ram it down the other team's throat. Arvada West so far has done a very good job of getting it in and out of pressure areas. You see them get on one side, they realize it's closed, they can't get down that side, they're willing to go back through their sweeper and swing it around to the other side. And not only is that good coaching, that's good soccer. Arapahoe's tried to work it to the midfield, and several of those players that I mentioned are all central players. So you'll see them working it through the middle. Both teams seem to be trying to play a possession, passing style of soccer, which is just crucial. You know, we've got to get to the point where our high school teams, as well as our club teams, are playing that kind of stuff, because every college coach wants that kind of player, a kid that understands how to keep the ball and knock it around a bit. You can always teach a kid to knock it and chase after it. Teaching a kid how to actually play the game is a little more difficult.
So you're saying that advocating a more controlled style of play is kind of a step in the process of growth?
And there's no question. There's no question, because the higher levels you go to, if you continually give the ball to the other team, they're going to make you pay for it. And that's true in any sport, isn't it? But soccer, it really becomes evident at the higher levels that if you can't possess it in certain areas of the field, if the other team steals it from you, you're going to give one up. See Arapahoe going from one sideline to the other. That's very good. Big Boris coming down the left side.
That's Becker.
Yeah, we call him Boris.
He's well named. He looks like he could play for the German national team.
Well, he looks like Boris Becker. Look at him.
He does. He does indeed.
Unfortunately, the word around Arapahoe is, though, Boris Becker's girlfriend's a lot better looking.
There is the executive producer and one of our videographers for Amateur Sports Video, Eric Robinson, on the sideline, which, as you can see, are packed now. Both stands have filled up here. That's Seth Musselman moving the ball, and Andy Dixon.
You know, he hasn't gotten, I don't think, where he's wanted to go so far, Dallas. The 2 times we've seen him have the ball in the midfield, but you can already tell Seth's got some pace, he's got some skill. Obviously, he's a player they want to play through. And he wasn't afraid there to actually go against the grain, turn into the middle of the field, and take a player on and try to make something happen. Keep an eye on Seth. Okay, trick throw in.
Explain that. What, to the soccer neophyte, what went on there when he threw it in? And
Well, you can't throw it to yourself, obviously. And if the Arapahoe player had turned around and faced him, it would have alerted the Arvada West players that possibly he was going to receive the ball. Let's watch this attack here, where we finished the throw-in analogy. And so by turning his back to him, the idea is no one will mark him because he's not watching, so the Arapahoe player just throws it off his back and gets the play from there.
Chad Watts with his back to us there on that close-up. Tell him what's going on with the haircuts for the Warriors here.
Well, I've heard they got together to show a sense of unity and a teamwork thing. You know, they're huge on the team concept. You'll hear Coach Bass and several of their players, they like to use the phrase, you know, there's no I in the word team. And that's a big part of their deal. You hear them interviewed in the papers, and they're really supportive of each other. So they got together to shave their heads. The interesting thing is, a couple of the guys with the better haircuts, you notice they kept theirs. The goalkeeper kept his, looked like Watts kept his, and although Dixon shaved his head, I see, but several of the players, I guess, decided not to go that route. Becker decided to keep his the way it was. I'm not so sure that was a good decision on his part.
He looks like he could be Boris Becker's brother, no question about that.
Becker's a big, strong kid, good player, been with the program for a while, knows what it takes, runs up and down the wing, gets quality services in, big heart.
Now you hear the PA announcer with the yellow card issued to Jonathan Rosler.
I'm not sure what that was for. I didn't see the foul.
Arapahoe substitution number 17, Matt Moyers.
You might have heard from the PA there, a substitution for the Warriors. Matt Moyers is now in the contest, number 17. And you can see the player's breath noticeably now.
Here's Arvada again, demonstrating their patience. Not going to knock it down the line if that's exactly what Arapahoe wants. Arvada West willing to knock it around the back, give it to the keeper. And what we'd like to have seen there, I think, is actually for the keeper to continue that ball onto the other far sideline to the other outside back instead of just whacking it up the field. See if they can go the other way with this ball, back to the sweeper. That's some pretty good stuff right there. Well read by the Arapahoe defense, but good idea.
Soccer, like hockey, is a game that requires 3 or 4 good things to happen for a score to result. It's unlike quick strike sports. There's some of the fans on the sideline here. Englewood High School, a very good crowd in attendance.
A terrific crowd. These schools just do such a fantastic job supporting the sport, supporting all their sports. I was amazed the first time I went to high school finals here in Denver at the size of the crowds. They're tremendous, and they're so supportive. It's really a great atmosphere for these kids to be playing in.
In comparison with other parts of the country, I guess.
Right. You know, Denver is really the hotbed, or the biggest city, obviously, in the state, so we have everything pretty much right here. I grew up in Dallas, and we'd have to drive to Austin for the state finals. And sure, you could take your crowd and maybe your parents and maybe 100 fans, but your high school couldn't go down there. And the best soccer teams in Colorado in high school level are all located in the Denver metro area, so you can get a couple thousand, 4,000 people here for a game, and that's not unrealistic to have, whereas in other states it's not quite the same.
Obviously, Arapahoe fans there, the Arapahoe side of the field.
And they'll do that the whole game. They'll yell and scream from start to finish.
They are into it. There's a nice shot. I'd like to see a still photo of that one.
That's a good photo.
As we said at the top, this is the 20th renewal of the 5A soccer championship in the state of Colorado. So big-time high school soccer goes back to 1974 here.
Well, as we look at that misplayed ball by Ben Farley from Arapahoe, I really think as any keeper needs to know where he is on the field, and that ball should have either been caught and held or just let go, because I don't think that was going on the frame, Dallas. And you know, Ben hasn't touched the ball yet. Maybe he's a little bit excited, and I do know he's a bit of an emotional kid. When he gets rolling, he can really fly around the goal, and he probably just wanted to get out there and get a hold of the ball. But unfortunately for him, he's given Arvada West a chance for a corner kick.
How big a factor is the weather on a keeper who is essentially stationary? They need to have some movement to try to stay in the game, I would guess.
They do. They have to keep moving. And if you watch, you know, a great example of that is Mark Dodd, the Colorado Foxes goalkeeper. When we're dominating a team and he hasn't touched the ball, you just take your eye off the ball for a second, look back at Mark on the other end, and he'll be moving around the box, keeping himself warm, bouncing up and down. And this could even be on a hot day. It's not really the physical aspect of it, because they can wear pants and a turtleneck. It's the mental. They've got to be sharp, because a goalkeeper on a good team may be called on once a game to save their team's rear end, and he's got to be able to do it. I know goalkeepers that are exhausted after one game and maybe caught 2 crosses and made 1 save because they're so focused during the time. And you know, they have to do a lot of organizing too. If we had a mic down on Ben, we'd probably hear him organizing his defense as they come down. He's got the eyes. He doesn't have the pressure of having to be up there using his feet. So he's got to organize his team and push players where he wants them and tell them to get in and tackle or drop off. And that takes a lot of work.
Looks like we might have had an offside call there.
I'm not sure what that foul was. If it was offsides, it would have been marked on the other side of the field. I'm not sure where that was. That football line makes it tough for us. It looks like that went out of bounds, but actually we had another 6 yards to go or so before it crossed over the yellow line.
About 18 minutes into the first half now, and it is Arapahoe 0, Arvada West 0.
Substitutions for Arapahoe High School: number 9, Brian Becker; number 12, Jeff Yeck; number 14, Jake Jenkins.
I'm not sure what the call was there. You can see right before that ball was put back in play, Dallas, Coach Amaya was down the sideline yelling instructions at his defense. Talking to him before the game, I know that he really wanted to go at Arapahoe. He certainly didn't want to sit back and get complacent with the pace of the game. And I think he's trying to get into him because, as you've seen, we haven't seen a whole lot of organized attack out of them in the past 10 minutes. Most of it's been Arapahoe attacking, Nevada West doing a good job of defending. That's the third time now we've seen a ball go up to a forward, back and outside to one of those attacking midfielders. That was a very good attack on Arapahoe's part. Went into the pressure, came back out, and then went wide and sprung that outside player. And I'm sure, you know, Raphael is a defender, and he knows how to play the angles and shut stuff like that down, and I know that's something he's going to address at halftime, if he's not addressing it right now.
And really the only offensive pressure up to now has been applied by Arapahoe.
It really has, and I think a lot of that comes from they were not real tense before this game. Wired and excited and looking forward to the game was one thing, but they've just been here so much. They've got so many people that have been around. That's a good call by the referee, that foul. They've been here so many times that I think they were really relaxed at the beginning of the game, whereas Arvada West, no one expected them to be here. They've played a lot on emotion, and they've got to get into this game. And I would assume if they could get a good attack, such as this one, and do something with it, they could find themselves building some momentum. But as it stands, I think they're still a little bit shaky.
Well, that was Brian Shrunk on kind of a breakaway there, but he didn't have any support as he centered the ball.
Right. The whole idea is that he gets down the wing, he's got someone crashing the near post, someone at the far post, and someone kind of trailing around the penalty spot. The idea being no matter where he puts it, someone can finish it if the timing is right. And he really was so far ahead of the play that no one got in where they're supposed to be. He's a big, strong kid. I like the way he looks. He ran with that ball with a lot of authority. I'm not familiar with him, but we're going to keep our eye on him. That's one there, Dallas. If you saw that ball came into Chad Watts. He's got some pressure on him, but what he doesn't realize right as that ball comes into him is the pressure drops off. So instead of flicking that ball in over the sweeper's head, if he just holds on to that, he forces his defender to make a play, and then he can commit him. But just flicking that ball on blindly was not what the Arapahoe attack needed at that point. And I think if he just would have taken a quick look over his shoulder, he would have seen he had time to settle that ball. It's so important in soccer that you have an idea of what you're going to do before you get it. You know, as in basketball, if you've got a clue where you're going with the ball before you get it, you are a step ahead of most players out there.
There's some unusual costuming here in evidence on the sideline. A little war paint.
A little war paint.
This is an enthusiastic crowd. I've been impressed at the level of enthusiasm here. Of course, it is a championship game. Trying to chase that down for West. being shadowed over there by Jake Jenkins.
Oh, no! Two unbelievable misses. The first one gets up. Andy Dixon gets up well, and actually sees the goal right where he wants to put it. The keeper was beat by the cross, and he puts it over. Then it comes right back to the foot of one of their players in the middle, and he puts it over the top.
Pops it up.
Another case of really not keeping his eye on the ball probably when he hit it. I'll bet that was harder to hit over than it was to hit in. That's
another missed opportunity for Arapahoe in the early going.
Well, you know, that's just something you don't want to do. You don't want Arvada West, if you're Arapahoe, to think, all right, here's the chances they've had to haven't capitalized. Now one counterattack opportunity for Arvada West, and they stick one in. Arapahoe can be pounding themselves at halftime for letting those get away. You know, you might get away with missing one or two in a game, but to let those two opportunities go by, that could come back to hurt them.
This is going to be Danny Brinkman on the throw-in for the Wildcats. It's Brian Shrunk, number 6, in the middle for the Wildcats. Saved at the touchline. Shrunk again.
That was a good idea. If you saw there too, the Arvada West player had cleared that ball up the field, Dallas. He really didn't have any other choice because the pressure was there from Arapahoe's attacking players. What you wanted to see was someone else from the Arvada West team to realize, hey, my defender's got one option. He's got to kick it up the line, so I've got to get there. So even though the Arvada West player is clearing it, really not looking for anyone in particular, you anticipate that clearance and get underneath the ball and bring it down. It was very frustrating for another team if when the defense is just clearing it, if your forwards are anticipating that and getting underneath the ball and maintaining possession. Unfortunately, no one was there, and they didn't get the ball back.
So Arvada West in front of the goal now.
They're starting to put a little pressure on now. We haven't seen the ball since the missed opportunity. Arvada West may be thinking, hey, here we are, 20 minutes, 25 minutes into this game. We're not losing. The almighty Arapahoe hasn't run us off the park yet. We can play with these guys. It's going to be a very interesting game if both teams go into the half believing that it's a dogfight.
This is Shrunk with the throw-in when we're ready to go.
West substitution number 8, Tony Moscoso.
You might have heard from the PA announcer, Tony Moscoso comes in for West now.
It's really not what they want. Shooting from there. Raphael could probably score from out there, but I think he'd like to see his kids move the ball a little bit more. Try to find this big guy we mentioned earlier up front. Try to find him maybe with his back to goal. They're leaving some of the pressure off, just having him run to goal every time. Maybe get him up top, kind of like dumping into the low post in basketball. You've got a big, strong player like that. You can get him in there with his back to goal, standing up on the other team's stopper or sweeper, knock balls into him and have him lay him off. Coach Lambert there, Nathan Lambert's father, one of the assistant coaches for the Warriors. Nate Lambert, definitely one of the big-time players here for the Warriors. Scored some big goals for this program, especially last year in their state final run. And Dallas, we've seen the ball here at the Arapahoe end quite a bit now. Seen Farley having to make a couple of catches and taking a lot of goal kicks. As this game settles in, Arvada West is starting to, here as we watch Arapahoe counterattack, they're starting to probably be pretty confident with the way they're playing.
What happened there?
I'm not sure. I think he called him for pushing. Captain Lambert here on the ball.
Lambert and Becker are the captains.
Holy cow.
Ricochets, caroms off the crossbar. Another shot.
Now, I cannot tell you what a brilliant shot that was off a free kick. You cannot spend enough time working on something like that before you realize how difficult a shot like that is. He had to bend that around the wall and get it down low enough to stand to the crossbar. And unfortunately for him, he hit the crossbar. But that was a big-time free kick.
Well placed.
Extremely well placed.
He almost got it in there.
Yeah, and you know, you can't even fault the keeper if that goes in, because that was going to be unsavable if it was 6 inches lower. And then he followed it up and got off another quality shot.
So Arapahoe has been able to exert a little more pressure here in the last couple of minutes.
All we had to do was start talking bad about their attack, and then here they come.
Inevitably. And on the throw-in is Casey Conley for the Wildcats. Good shot of him on the near side to Shrunk. Still scoreless in the early going here, about 28 minutes in the first half.
Well, I can't get over that free kick, Dallas. He didn't even look to play it to someone else. He just backed up, ran up, and teed off that ball. I'd like to have that again.
So Arapahoe has had some real opportunities, but thus far they haven't been able to capitalize, and you wonder how much longer they're going to be able to do that and not let Arvada West up.
Well, we just talked about laying balls in off the big forwards. That's exactly what Arvada West just did. That was one of their better, probably, sequences in front of the goal. Knocked it into the big boy up front, who laid it off to a player who really could have shot it, but elected to pass it instead. I wish he would have shot it. But there's a good example of knocking it into a big, strong forward, and you know, that just changes the whole complexity of the game if you can establish an inside game, because then the defense has to collapse on you, and then you start spraying your wide players. I'd like to see more of that out of Arvada West. And of course, Raphael's very familiar with that. One of his favorite players that he plays with on the Fox is Jeff Hooker, who is a big, strong kid who plays with his back to goal. And Raphael has played many balls in and off of Jeff Hooker, and I'm sure he's talked to his players about that.
There's the throw-in. And cleared out well by the Wildcats.
That's well played by the goalkeeper. A lot of times keepers can stay on their line and let that develop into something more dangerous. If they're willing to dominate their box, it really takes away that through ball option unless it's played perfectly behind the sweeper and away from the goalkeeper. There he is, Josh Wilder. That's the one we were looking for to knock balls into. And you can see, just like we talked about at the beginning, Arvada West and Arapahoe willing to be patient, willing to knock the ball around, hopefully with an idea of why they're doing that. You know, you can teach teams to play possession and they can tie every game 0-0, but you've got to understand that the reason you knock it around, Dallas, is to find a weakness, to find an opening, to find somebody moving the space that you can actually penetrate. You don't just knock it side to side for the sake of doing it, you do it for a purpose. And so far, Arvada West has done a good job of keeping it, but haven't really penetrated because of it, whereas Arapahoe has been able to penetrate on several occasions.
Jake Jenkins has been active in that attacking end of the field. It seems like he's led the run out a couple of times.
He pretty much stays high, I think, and that's his job. When they start to counter, he'll get high and get up on the last man and see if they can knock it into him to hold it or turn and go.
There's Arapahoe again, something developing.
Good pass, too.
Jenkins
Great
again.
ball.
Dixon.
And there it is.
Score. Dixon from Jenkins.
Looked like it was only a matter of time, and that was a quality attack. Great ball down the wing and a great service. Hopefully we'll get to see that again, because that cross back to Andy Dixon was absolutely big time.
Well, Jenkins has been active. He's been running out ahead, and he was able to set Dixon up that time.
You just called it. I'd be interested to see when he looked up and found him. But you know, so many players get to the end line and they just know their job is to get it across, and they'll just whack it across. I'm assuming he looked up and saw Andy, and when he played that ball, the entire Arvada West defense overshot the cross and left Dixon wide open to finish it. And you know, we've talked about missed chances. That was more difficult than some of the other chances they've had, and he was able to finish it like a champ.
And it actually went in on one hop.
Yes, it did. And I'll tell you what, Dixon is such a great kid. This is a guy who was looked upon as probably the best 14 or 15-year-old in the state. He made the Olympic developmental program at 14, was looked at as the best kid in Colorado at that age. Comes into Arapahoe, a lot of expectations. Dallas, he was one of the kids that had a chance to make varsity as a freshman. Broke his foot or his ankle badly and had to sit out for almost a year. He's not a big kid, so the physical nature of the game was not going to be good to him coming off a broken foot. And it's taken him a good year, I would say, to get back to the level that he was used to playing at. And he's had a great year. He's going to be a great player, and it's good to see some of that go through an injury and come out on top.
So Arapahoe breaks on top unofficially at the 32-minute mark on the goal by Andy Dixon from Jake Jenkins. So 1-0 Warriors, and they're keeping the pressure on. Two shots on goal there. The angle was cut down. Another shot and another goal. I'm trying to catch the player.
There are two. So are the players. Number 12.
It's Jeff Yak.
Jeff Yak, he scored some big goals this year. And, I really got to say, I feel bad for the Arvada West defense, or the Arvada West goalkeeper on that one, Dallas, because they really let him down.
Two consecutive saves.
You make two great saves like that, not only should you have at least one player back in your goal, but you should have, there was time for 6 or 7 kids to get back goal side, and Arapahoe kept shooting. It was actually the third shot that found its way in the back of the net. It was a great finish. Don't take anything away from Yak, but the Arvada West defense have really let their keeper down on that play, because he came up big for him twice.
So unofficially, that comes. We'll hear it here.
Jeff Yak, unassisted. Time of goal, 34 minutes, 23 seconds.
So officially at 34-23 of the first half in Arapahoe, we see a Wildcat down on the field. Try to ID who that is. It's number 12.
Seth?
It says that is the number on the roster, Seth Musselman. Looks to be okay.
I'll tell you what, too, that goal really hurts. As we had said before, the game was really even. And then just as we're talking about Arapahoe not attacking, Arvada West gets forward several times. Then Arapahoe gets forward and finally convert one of those many chances. And now you can see they have the momentum and the enthusiasm and a 2-goal lead. And that one really hurt. I think there are some things that Coach Amaya from Arvada West probably has already picked out that he would love to get to halftime and share with his team. And if you go in 1-0 down, you can talk about those things from a standpoint of, we're going to do these things to get our 1 goal to get even, and then we're going to go back to our game plan. But when you're down 2-0, you really have to throw a lot of your stuff out the window. For example, how patient can you be knocking around in the back when you've got to make up 2 goals? So we'll see what he does at halftime. We'll see if they can get back into something here before the half.
And conversely, what is Kirk Bast and the Warriors? Well, how does this affect their game plan now?
Well, I'll tell you what. Arapahoe's where they are because they play a style. They all understand it. They play like a team, and they go from the beginning, the first minute to the last minute, as hard and as fast as they can. So I wouldn't expect to see Coach Bast change much. The only time you may see him make a big-time adjustment in terms of strategy and holding on to the lead would be if we get into the latter stage of this game and it's still 2-0 and Arvada West starts to push, he may drop an attacking player in the midfield to help clog things up. But, I feel, and I think Coach Bass does too, that, when you have a team that's willing to attack, and keep the other team in their end of the field, that's your best defense. You don't just drop back and protect it, and not at this level, and not at this level of intensity. He's got his kids fired up in there. Both these teams look very fit, so I don't see that as being a problem. And that was a great ball, by the way.
Arapahoe trying to press the attack again, but never developed. And Josh Kaus has gone all the way at keeper thus far for the Wildcats. Sends it the other way. So Arapahoe on top 2-0 at the 37-minute mark. About 8 minutes remaining in regulation play.
Well, even though it's down 2-0, and I think some of their problems have come with the Arvada West team. Some of their problems have come in that last 30 yards. They've done a really nice job getting from one into the 18 to the other team's attacking third. Even though their problems have come in the final third, I can't tell you what a different team this is from the Arvada West team I saw last year. the organization, the style of play, the defensive organization, they have really come a long way. I hope this game doesn't finish 2-0. I'd like it to get a little more exciting from the Arvada West standpoint, but even if it did, this is a program on the rise. I don't know how many seniors we have here, but we certainly have the makings of a program that could be around for a while based on what we see here.
And that goes over the goal line.
And Brian Becker, once again, he is a threatening force out there tonight, getting down that left side relentlessly, looking to get to the end line and cross it.
It appears it is a senior-laden team for the Wildcats. It looks like Zach Fisher is the only underclassman, a junior. Everybody else of the starters appears to be a senior. Nathan English, one of the fullbacks, is also a junior.
Well, let's hope for their sake that a lot of their underclassmen, I know of a couple, Josh Aramuspi and Lenny LaGuardia, both very good players, both on the bench tonight for their team. Quality, let's hope they have a lot of quality freshmen and sophomores that have gotten the experience throughout the season that they can continue this type of play for their next 2 or 3 years.
Aramuspi and LaGuardia are both sophomores, so they've got a lot of time left to play.
And that's the thing, you know, you look at this Arapahoe team, not a lot of these guys were on the field last year for their state final. Certainly not 90-minute players. And yet here they are because of the experience they got getting here and the process by which they got here. So hopefully we can see that. And there you see it again from Arvada West. They get to that one point, but that last pass is just not on, or the run isn't just there, or it could be a case of the Arapahoe sweeper playing a well-played game. And there you see some of the frustration.
And that is the end of the first half here of the 5A championship game with Arapahoe on top, 2-0. We'll be back for second half action. We're ready for second half action in the 5A Boys State Soccer Championship. Arapahoe on top, 2-0. Arvada West controlling the ball. Dallas Davidson and Tom Stone here at Englewood High School for this match. Well played thus far. Arapahoe capitalizing finally on some opportunities toward the end of the first half. They're now moving left to right, and Arvada West right to left, and pressure already in the attacking end. Goals in the first half by Andy Dixon and Jeff Yak for the Warriors that put Arapahoe on top, 2-0.
It'll be interesting to see, Dallas, how these two teams come out. We mentioned early in the first half about what changes Arapahoe would make. I don't expect to see too many. But on the other side of the ball, some things need to happen. They need to get forward a little quicker. Arapahoe is very fit. They're able to get a lot of people back behind the ball quickly. I think if Arvada West would like to get back into this game, they're going to have to counter, and they're going to have to counter a little quicker than they were before. And they're going to have to maybe start putting some balls up in the box, see if Ben Farley will come out and get them. And those things need to happen. You're down 2-0. You've got to make something happen. You've got to get away from your game plan a little bit. You've got to force Arapahoe to come out of their defensive shape a little bit and try to capitalize on some of these opportunities.
What's going on here on this throw-in?
I think they just tried to move up too far. You know, if you do actually throw it in from an incorrect spot, you have to actually don't get to retake. It's the other team's throw-in. And referees are very inconsistent about that rule. A lot of times you'll see them blow the whistle and back a kid up and let them either take it again or tell them where it is, whereas what they're supposed to do is just point the spot out, let the kid take the throw in. If he chooses to go too far, then it's the other team's throw in. Joe's done a nice job tonight, and I'd like to compliment both teams on the way they've played in terms of the physical nature of the game. They've both played very fair. They've both played well. Haven't seen any cheap shots.
That's Casey Conley marking there and trying to turn it around.
Although Joe's done a good job, he really hasn't had to do a lot. You know, one of the reasons for that, Dallas, is he gave an early yellow card. It was a late foul, I think. We saw one of the tackles. He gave him the yellow card fairly early. He set the tempo, let the kids know, hey, I'm not going to put up with any cheap stuff. Let's just play the game. And that could have had the effect he desired.
So Arvada West has to make something happen here in the second half to try to get on the board and not let Arapahoe control the tempo. Have to take a few more chances, maybe. There's West controlling the ball. Just looking to set things up right now. I think that shrunk on the far side.
When you saw that as they swung it around to the right and they looked to go up the line, they went so deliberately and so predictably to that side that the Arapahoe team was able to get people in position that, you know, hey, sure, if you want to come down this side, that's fine. Did you see that?
I think that was Dixon in deep with a chance on that centering pass. Now dribbling in the corner is Jeff Yak. And it's cleared out, picked up again. And into the keeper, Josh Kaus.
And that's the thing that they've got to pay attention to if Arvada wants to counter or wants to attack a little bit quicker. They can't be so predictable that it's obvious what side they're going to go down. But you know, in soccer, there's 22 people on the field. And if you can get 10 to 11 people all defending the same direction, forcing the play to one side, you can squeeze in to one side and win a ball, and you can just throw enough bodies in there. It's just too difficult to get through. The best defensive teams that play this game are teams that are able.
That's Becker marking Nathan English in the
standoff here.
Still fighting for control. Arapahoe comes out with it. Center of the field.
Lambert.
Nice control by Lambert. He's tackled off the ball.
It was a good move and a good call by the referee. I don't really think that was intentional. I think the Arvada West player was just faked out there. He was beaten.
David Pierce.
David was beaten and fouled him in the process. Now here we have another chance to see this free kick we saw in the first half, which was such a bomb.
Exactly.
I'd like to see what happens on this one.
Will this be Nathan Lambert?
It's got to be.
It's got to be.
It's got to be.
The player fouled.
Right. No, it doesn't have to be. I just mean it has to be because of his ability to hit the ball. Anybody can take the free kick, but his ability to hit the ball is why I said it has to be. He's talking it over there. I'm not sure if maybe. Yeah, they left it for him. Now that's. Sorry.
And it's trapped by Kaus. I almost thought he snuck it in there.
It was a great save because he really couldn't see that ball until it finally cleared the wall. But the interesting thing about that, and it's a real tribute to Nathan, he hit the first one right-footed because it was on the left-hand side of the field, so he bent it with his right foot, inside of his right foot, actually pretty much hit a drive the first one, over the wall and down off the bottom of the crossbar. This time, it was really a shot for a left-footed player. To go around that side of the wall, you needed someone with your left foot to hit it with the inside of his left. He went with the outside of his right, which is really the same as the inside of the left, and that shows his ability to hit it with the right or the outside of his right, and he can go around either side of the wall. That'll serve him well when he goes and plays at the next level in college, because if you look at statistics, and you mentioned you watched the World Cup this summer, such a big part of that are restarts, corner kicks, free kicks, in and around the box. So many goals are created there that if you have an ability to do some damage on that end, you're going to be a recruited player to the college ranks in this country and anywhere.
So as in Class 5A football, where we see a lot of players who are going to go on to Division 1A schools after their high school days are over. We're seeing players here who are going to go on to Division 1A soccer programs.
I think you're seeing a few on the field tonight that could play Division 1 when their time comes. Unfortunately, we haven't seen the mass number of guys out of the state go Division 1 big-time programs as we have on the girls' side. And part of that is just because of the recognition the girls have gotten in the past few years. But there are certainly Division 1 players out there tonight that are going to go and have good college careers.
It was Hans Gloth with some good ball handling for the Wildcats to maintain possession.
Substitution for Arapahoe, number 18, Ryan Todd.
West trying to keep the ball in. Seth Musselman again. There's a pass near side. Danny Brinkman. And there's Brinkman with the shot on goal. Hits the crossbar, comes back out.
I was just about to say, look how many players Arapahoe had back on defense and how really impenetrable they looked. They had 7 or 8 players there as Arvada West looked to probe and try to get in there. But just like we talked about in the first half, if you turn the ball over in certain parts of the field, the result is danger. And that's what happened. Arapahoe lost it, and in 2 touches, the ball was off their crossbar.
And Brinkman unloaded a shot that was just inches short of going in off the crossbar.
Well, and the reason Ben looked like he was out of position is because he's assuming his player's going to keep possession of that ball. So he's a good 6-7 yards off his line, supporting the defense, probably organizing, and next thing he knows, here comes a shot. He had no chance. He's not a real tall kid, although he's a great athlete, he's a good jumper. He wasn't going to get that.
The pass by Dixon was intercepted and then taken again. That's a substitution for Arapahoe. Ryan Todd is in now. To Lambert. Now the far side. Centering pass. And knocked away by Kaus. Nice save.
You know, and that's really been the difference right there between the two teams in terms of their attack. Arapahoe just went from one sideline to the other and got a cross-off. Arvada's gone one sideline to the other and then lost the ball. Or gone one sideline to the other and just been happy with that possession aspect of it as opposed to really creating a goal-scoring opportunity out of it.
I believe that's Casey Conley passing it upfield to Zach Fisher. Now it comes back. That's Musselman, Seth Musselman. Handled out there by Zach Fisher. And going over the touchline on the far side. Wildcats will throw it in over there. Seth Musselman hands off to Verge DePoyen with the throw-in. Number 8 with his back is Tony Moscoso. He was a substitution in about the middle of the first half. He came in for the Wildcats. Way to get things.
Arvada West substitutions. Number 3, Nathan English. Number 9, Matt Bolton.
Now Matt Bolton comes in for Nathan English for the Wildcats. Here's the throw-in. That was headed.
Oh, he's given a penalty. He's given a penalty kick.
So on the throw-in, there was a penalty that was evidently out of frame.
I don't think it was out of frame. It looked to me like they challenged for the ball, and he called a penalty kick. I think if you were watching closely on the left-hand side, it looks like he must have seen something that we didn't, because I did not see a foul. But you don't see the Arapahoe players really protesting either.
So they're all assembled out of the penalty area.
The only thing I can think of is that the Arapahoe defender's hands or elbow was up high in the back of the neck of the Arvada West player, because from where we stood, it was a fair challenge. As a matter of fact, I don't even think the Arvada West player had a chance for that ball.
Zach Fisher is going to take the kick. So this should prove interesting. There's a big opportunity for West. Fisher up to the ball. And he blows it by him. Arvada West is on the board on the penalty kick.
Not only are they on the board, that really changes the complexity of this game. Protecting a 2-0 lead left Coach Bass some options. Now at 2-1, he can't afford to sit back and try to hold on to 2-1. He's got to continue to attack. And Arvada West now has the confidence that maybe they needed this entire game. They finally converted a chance. I'm not sure what the call was. Joe was a lot closer than we were. But give Arvada West credit. They put away the chance when they had it.
And you could hear the reaction from the crowd. There was some dissension over there from the Arapahoe side.
There just had to have been some contact that we couldn't see. It was right on the edge of the
time of goal, 50 minutes, 25 seconds.
The area. Well, you can hear the Arvada West crowd now, can't you?
Yeah, Arvada West, you can see them on the far side. That's their side of the field. And there's a shot across the goal mouth. Goes over the goal line.
They are into it now. They sense, you know, 1 goal now. It's 2-2.
There's some enthusiasm.
And a big momentum swing.
So 2-1 now in the second half. Trying to pick up the official time from the PA announcer on that drive, was unable to do so. Wildcats still controlling. That's David Pierce. Goes to the far side.
See, and again, they do a great job getting into the middle and getting wide, but it's so obvious that ball's going down the line that Arapahoe has it covered.
It seems that Arvada West has tried to wear out that far sideline with their try to develop the play, as you say, every time down that same side.
And the best way to go, if you really want to go down there, is by starting from somewhere else. You know, if you work your way over there and then stay, Arapahoe, is organized enough to get it to the other side of the field with their defenders.
Chad Watts sends that over the touchline.
Yeah, he's not going to be happy with that ball.
He didn't like that. You could see him. He kind of grimaced and tossed his head back, like, how could I do that? Now Pierce is going to throw in here for Arvada West, and Wildcats would like nothing better than to even this thing up. That's Berge DePoyen. It's a nice ball handling there, but for Knott, didn't develop.
And that ball there, the one just cleared out of the back, is not the ball Coach Bass would like to see. At this point, under the amount of pressure they're under, with the potential of a momentum swing, I certainly don't think Arapahoe's lost any confidence, but the potential of the momentum swing, he would like to see his defender, without any pressure there, just settle it and get the ball back under control again. Every time you just meaninglessly kick it out of the back, Arvada West gets the ball again and starts to build again.
There's DePoyen in the center of the field. His nominal position, DePoyen, that is a midfielder. According to the roster, of course, positions are a little more, and there's a shot and covered up.
Ben did a nice job on the first one. I know he may be a bit disappointed. Look on his face, I'm not sure if that's because he didn't hold it or because he gave up a goal. He certainly cannot be faulting himself for the goal. He didn't commit the foul, and saving that penalty would have been near impossible. But he did a great job. You know, a lot of keepers, if they don't make the first save, as a coach, you don't get that upset if they have the tenacity to get up and make the second save. You know, there's no use giving up on the ball, and he certainly didn't give up on that. It really gave Arvada West no opportunity to capitalize on him dropping the first one.
Just saw some West rooters there on the other side. Here's the throw in. Centered out in front of the goal, and we have a whistle.
Not sure what the call is. That certainly was an interesting flick there. And he got it all the way to the far post. That was interesting.
That was Chad. Check that. Matt Moyers on the throw in. Looks like we've got a do-over here. Cleared out by the Wildcats. And see who controls. Moyers near side. Kicks it in, and it's covered up by Kaus, who clears it out on the far side.
So they need to go here. Push and go.
I believe that was Josh Whittler out in front of the play. DePoyen marked nicely by Dixon, who takes it. Nice takeaway by Andy Dixon.
And that's the thing, as you see, I was just about to comment on Andy's skill. He's got a lot of skill, and that ball going out of bounds doesn't exemplify that fact. But when he wins the ball and settles it in the midfield, you have to be respectful of his ability to then do something with it. That wasn't an opportunity. The thing that just keeps killing me here, Dallas, is their counterattacks for Arvada West. What they have to realize, and if you watch Arapahoe play, when they lose possession of the ball in the midfield and they don't have the proper numbers back, they just retreat. They play a zone and they retreat back on top of their goal. And although at times you may think, well, that's good for my team, because if they keep backing up, we'll just keep pushing. But what so many teams make the mistake of doing is they dump the ball down into that open area in front of the sweeper. Well, with so many Arapahoe players retreating, that's right where they want the ball. It's played right in front of them, and they just run onto it and clear it out. And Arvada West has made that mistake now way too many times. If they get into that zone and they find the Arapahoe team retreating, one guy has got to run right at the sweeper or run at the stopper, make somebody come out and get him. That's how you start playing off of people, is committing them.
Here's some offense from Arapahoe. They're going to get a shot on goal and
there you have it.
A score. Let's see who it is. A beautiful forward flip. Chad Watts on the goal for Arapahoe, and that was, it developed out of thin air virtually. Two guys moved it down there, and they scored.
Well, it was a great goal, too, and the finish was clinical. And you know what you love about that is if you're Coach Bass or any of the Arapahoe fans, is your team just got put on the ropes. They don't agree with the call maybe, and they're upset about the penalty kick, and there's a potential momentum swing. Within 10 minutes, they come right back down and regain their 2-goal lead.
So Chad Watts drives one in from close range by Josh Kaus, and Arapahoe goes up 3-1.
Arapahoe High School.
Catch the time.
Goal scored by number 15, Chad Watts. Assisted by number 14, Jake Jenkins. Time of goal, 56 minutes, 20 seconds.
So 56 minutes, 20, about 11:20 into the second half here. Or check that, about 16 minutes into the second half. Assisted by Jake Jenkins, and that's his second assist of the game.
It sure is, and I tell you what, both quality assists, not just blind services. He picked his man out, found his target, and fortunately for him, his two target men put the ball in the back of the net for him.
He's making Andy Dixon and Chad Watts look awfully good here.
Yes.
That's Brinkman swinging his leg over and unable to come up with it over the touchline on the near side. I believe that's Pierce with the throw-in. Matt Bolton back to Pierce. That goes over the goal line. Some pensive expressions on the Arvada West sideline. They've gone down 2 goals now, trailing 3-1. Corner kick coming up.
That's such a tough goal to give up at this stage of the game if you're Arvada West. What they would really want to do here is try to keep it to this end of the field after this corner kick. Continue to put some pressure on Arapahoe. I'm not sure if they're able to do it. That's a good save.
The save by Fairley. The Arvada West Spirit squad, and Arvada West again to Brinkman and across the goal line.
You see Arvada West there trying what we call a short corner. They bring 2 players out to the corner flag and try to go 2v1 with the one Arapahoe defender. Now, Arapahoe thinks it's going to come again. They should send another defender out there, so it's 2v2. And you can see now, since they've defended it properly, they forced the big corner.
And there's the big kick into the middle, and it looked like, man,
and there
goal.
It is.
A goal, a score.
Great
The header was missed, but it was finished off.
Great intensity. We got a ball game now.
It looked to be, I know that Hans Gloth was involved there. He looked like he missed the header, but I couldn't see who got the foot on it.
We're just talking about...
We'll catch the PA announcer to pick up who scored. You were saying, Tom?
We were just talking about how the short corner was taken away from him, and it turns out the big corner killed him. They might have even preferred the short one there. You know, the problem with the short corner is if you're defending it, it sometimes allows the other team to get a quality shot off inside your box. You certainly don't want that. But Arvada West is a little bit bigger than the Arapahoe team, and I think they capitalized on their size there inside the box. Haven't heard the PA announcer, and I'm not sure who finished that.
No, I'm not either. I know that Gloth missed the header, and then I couldn't pick up who scored the goal. I think the PA announcer is having a little trouble coming up with an ID, too, because we have yet to hear it.
Well, it was a terrific finish, and just as we were saying, Arapahoe had reestablished themselves as well in control. Arvada West comes back and scores the second goal, and now we're at 3-2.
Goal scored by number 18, Josh Whittler.
So Josh Whittler, unassisted.
They say it was unassisted, but give the assist to the corner kick taker and the kid who missed the first header, because getting up there and challenging for it is what created the mayhem inside the box.
Exactly. Brinkman set it up. Gloth missed the header, but just the fact that he was in there distracted the defenders. Right. So Whittler scores at about the unofficially about the 60-minute mark. And this game has had a lot of momentum changes, and Arvada West isn't going away quietly.
No, they're not. And I think if anything now, they feel like
that they can play on this field, and it's a level field, and it's not tilted to the defending champions' favor. So we've got a close game. We've got a real barn burner here, and the crowd isn't going away, and neither are we, as the battle is well and truly joined now. There's the throw-in. Looks like that kid has a broken wrist. He's got a cast on it.
You could have, injuries in soccer always look worse than they are on the field, because the rules are, if you have any sort of a hard cast, it has to be bandaged just with an enormous amount of padding, so you don't cause injury when you're out there. So even a partial wrist cast can look like a 20-pound weight hanging off of a kid's arm.
We have got a fired-up stadium here. I am impressed with the enthusiasm. We have been all night, but the crowd isn't going away, and it is flat-out cold out here now. And the crowd is just hanging in here. This has been such a well-played game.
Now, I can't think that was what Coach Amaya was looking for. We noted the size difference. There's some big kids on the Arvada West team. We've also noticed
Lambert again the other way.
The lack of size that the Arapahoe goalkeeper has, although we've mentioned he's a great athlete, he's not extremely tall. I think at that point, if you have a free kick there, after just scoring on a corner kick, you want to loft that ball in and challenge the Arapahoe goalie to come get it or see who's going to win the air ball. By driving it in their head height, Arapahoe played it perfectly and got it out of their end.
Here's the man on the throw-in, Jake Jenkins.
Arapahoe High School substitution number 15, Chad Watts.
Chad Watts is being substituted for, I believe. He's been in the game.
He'll be back.
A lot of noise on the sidelines. You can hear them. The crowd just isn't letting up here. If anybody gets within 20 yards or so of the goal mouth, the noise level goes up. They want to see something happen here. The West Rooters especially want to see this thing evened up. The Arapahoe Rooters, of course, hoping that they can fend off the Wildcats. Trying to chase it down. That's Brian Becker.
Right, a little too aggressive there on that last touch. And you've got to realize as you're going fast and you run out of real estate, your touches have to get smaller and smaller as you get to the goalkeeper or to the end line. You take a big touch 30 yards from goal, but after that, they've got to get smaller because you've got to, A, one, compose yourself to get it across, and two, you're going to run out of field.
Over the touchline, they're trying to pick up who that was. And Arvada West playing some defense down here. Becker with the throw-in. Waiting, now he's going to hand it off.
We got a big throw in here.
Why did he do that?
Because this kid has a long throw. He can possibly throw it all the way into the 18.
This is Lambert.
Lambert has a very long throw in.
Talking about Nathan Lambert.
So he got it all the way into the 6, and actually because of it, the keeper came out and punched it out.
Still in the attacking zone. Arapahoe still with a lot of people down there. That's an exclamation of not disgust.
That's a shot that went out for a throw-in. That's what that is. Unfortunately.
A little disappointment there.
Yeah, his teammates will give him a hard time about that.
That's Dixon. And Kaus is going to cover this up. Sends it back out. Brinkman. We've shown that he can set up a scoring play. He's shown he can set up a scoring play to Conley. Arvada West tries to set something up here. Down that same far side that they've worn out. And nothing developed.
You know, the ideal thing there, if they can get the Arapahoe team to be switching to that side of the field, is to find a middle player, a stopper, or a center midfielder to get that little diagonal ball in from the inside, and he can take it to the other side for you. Or he then can go back to that same side. But as we've mentioned several times, I don't mean to beat it to death, but they're just a little bit too predictable going down the one side.
Shrunk, Musselman, and DePoyen trying to work this thing inside.
Good tackles. Been a well-played physical game. It really has.
And that offense that's working the far sideline for Arvada West is beginning to remind you of a pass pattern that they've tried 4 times. It just doesn't work.
Right.
Going back to the well, and the well doesn't have any water in it.
Well, too, the thing is that, you know, they've done it so many times, they can set them up now. They can appear to be going there and then go back inside and go the other way. That's the thing about soccer is you can use that. No chance.
Nathan Lambert.
Nathan wanting that mystical penalty kick. He wasn't going to get it there.
A little bit of an acting job there.
Great one. Great acting job.
So we'll put him in the hopper for the Academy Award for, in the field of Best Actor in a Soccer Role. Out to midfield, no interest in this ball right now. Things have kind of leveled off after the Arapahoe goal by the last one that was answered by Josh Widler. Both of these teams trying to make something happen, but as we saw this year in the World Cup, even the best athletes in the world sometimes have trouble generating offense.
Well, you know, teams are so organized defensively now, and teams spend so much time talking about that, and that's true. You're not going to win a championship in any sport without having a great defense, and that's the thing. Our offenses now in this country, especially, if you look at the breakaway, great play by Ben.
Ben came out to meet that.
It was a great read. For one of the first times we've seen all night, they got behind the Arapahoe defense, and then that came on a quick counter, coincidentally, so that makes us look good here in the booth. But that's the way to get behind him.
Josh Widler, too, and he's been instrumental in keeping Arvada West's offense going. Here's Pierce on the near side. But he came down and cut down the angle, I guess, efficiently.
You know, every step off the line, the goal gets smaller. He's just got to be careful that he doesn't come out so far. If Josh had time to compose himself, he could have gone over the top, but he timed his run out of the box perfectly and really just stuffed him at the edge of the 18. Like I was saying, our offenses now have to become more sophisticated to deal with the sophistication of the defenses that are out there being played. And it's just a constant game. Defense starts doing a zone or a tight man, and offenses have to adjust. And as in any sport, adjustments are the key.
Substitution for Arapahoe briefly. John Rise, number 2, is in. And also, given the length of the World Cup tournament format, some of those guys are just physically worn down. It's a brutal schedule that they keep in World Cup play. And you've got to try to perform at maximum effort throughout that tournament and create goals. As you say, it's easier to set up an efficient defense, I guess, than to have some kind of extravagant offensive game plan you can implement.
Right. Well, you know, they say it's easier to destroy than it is to create, and I would agree with that. And that doesn't take anything at all away from defense. I'm a strong believer in the defense wins the big games, but I still think it takes so many special individual players.
There's the ball getting through the defense, and a breakaway, a shot on goal.
Good save.
David Myers went to the far post.
So now we're getting a little Indian action, and that's okay if Arapahoe can get enough people back. It's exactly what Arvada West would like. It's almost to the point where they would enjoy allowing Arapahoe to attack a little bit, give them to come out of their shell, and then counter that attack. That's a philosophy that a lot of coaches will use at this point of the game. And now they get a free kick outside the box. Let's see if they launch it in there and challenge Ben Farley to come get it. Ben Fairley to come get it.
So Arvada West would like a more wide open attack.
I would think so.
Fast break attack.
Arapahoe's just too organized in getting back. They put too many people on the goal side of the ball. Their best chance, Arvada West's best chance, is to get behind them at some point. That's only going to come on a quick counter.
Casey Conley is going to put this into play. David Pierce with his back to us. Here it comes. Sent out by Arapahoe.
Again, not the ball they wanted.
Widler chasing it down and fairly covers it up. Nice play. As he denied Widler a shot.
You know, I saw Fairley play last year a bunch. He split time with Chris Schreiber, who was their starting keeper. And there was a couple of games where Schreiber went to the bench, and Fairley came in and did a fabulous job. And I really think coming into this year, as he was looking to win the starting position, he went and relied on last year when they called upon him to step in and back up Chris Schreiber. And he did such a fine job that I know that his confidence was on a high.
And he's only a junior.
And he possibly could have a second state championship.
He's got another year of eligibility left. Jonathan Rosalek with his back to us there, number 16, and Ivan Wood, number 6.
You know, there's a kid we haven't talked about a lot, Ivan Wood, but we've certainly seen him. This kid has cleared numerous chances for the Arapahoe Warriors team, and I would say Ivan is a bit of an unsung hero tonight. He's been there. Every time I talk about how difficult it's been to get behind the Arapahoe defense, that's because his positioning has been so extraordinary.
Over the touchline.
I think the fans are starting to feel it a little bit. It's getting a little bit closer.
We got a lot of noise behind us here. Ivan Wood's also a junior. He'll be back for another year.
Oh, that's good.
David Pierce again with the throw-in. It seems like he's the designated driver on the throw-in play. Lambert heads it out. There's Wood again. We're at about the 32-minute mark of the second half of play. 40-minute halves in high school soccer, Tom?
That's what we're guessing. I thought the boys played 45s, but it seemed like that first half was about 30, right at 40 minutes.
The band has struck up. Still feeling each other out here. Good ball handling by Arapahoe.
That was excellent ball handling by Chad Watts. If you noticed, every time he stepped over the ball and did a little body fake, all the Arvada West players did was back up because nobody wanted to get beat, and that gave him time. You know, so many players think dribbling moves are just for beating players. So many dribbling moves are made just to create a little time for yourself to look up and make a quality pass.
Here's Dixon now. DePoyen marking him. Unable to take it. Now here's DePoyen again. Over the touchline. It's going to be Arapahoe's throw-in, I believe. It's Becker. He'll hand it off.
Arapahoe working pretty hard to get that substitution in there. I'm not sure if they got it in or not. They were calling for it.
We have yet to hear one. Here's a whistle.
There went somebody on and off.
High school substitution, number 12, Jeff Yak.
So Yak is back on the attack.
Okay.
That's enough of that. There's Lambert with a shot and deflected by Kaus. Lambert between two defenders.
That was a great play. We just talked about individual ability, and sometimes it's used to buy yourself some time. That time it was used to skin some Arvada West players. He went through two and got off a quality shot. And I'll tell you, compliment the keeper, because a lot of times the keeper will get a hand on a shot that hard and it'll still go in. He put it over the top. Good execution on both players' parts.
The corner kick. And headed into the air by Becker. Covered by Kaus, who sends it out. And the Warriors have been able to keep it in their attacking zone for quite a while now.
They really do put a good amount of pressure on their opponents, and their desire to keep it out of their end is so great that when they get you trapped down in there, it's pretty hard to come back out.
That being said, the ball naturally came all the way back out to Fairleigh.
As you can see, Arvada West had so many players defending that they couldn't get numbers forward when they attacked. So the attack was about a two-man attack.
Exactly.
And that's not going to get it done.
No real pressure there, just a formality for Fairleigh to send this back out. Actually, Ivan Wood will do the honors.
Well, the barber got after him, but it looked like he stopped halfway through.
To number 12 for Arvada West, Seth Musselman.
Yeah, some barber out in Arapahoe County has been busy.
That's all right. These kids are getting haircuts these days.
This is Berge DePoyen. He should be ready for the throw-in. Let's see here. He hands it off. It's going to be Brinkman.
You saw Mark Hampshire there on the sideline with Arapahoe. He's one of their assistant coaches. A great guy with a fantastic personality for coaching. He's kind of the low-key one compared to Kirk. And the word on the street is next year he'll have the, or I think even a good part of this year has the JV boys. And he's going to be a very good high school coach or any kind of coaching that he wants to go into with soccer. he's been with the program for a while. He's learning the ropes, and they're giving him his own team next season.
Unofficially, our reckoning of the time, we're at the 73-minute mark, give or take about 30 seconds, which by our reckoning would leave about 7 minutes of in regulation time, unless, of course, referee Joe Lair decides to add more time.
Trying to think of the stoppages we had. There weren't too many. Didn't have any injuries. Should be pretty much right on the mark.
We're getting very close to the end of this game.
Exactly. Now's the time when Arvada West has got to throw numbers forward and start getting the ball in the box, getting balls into corners, trying to put a little pressure, really get away from knocking it around in the back and really just get forward.
Now we have a whistle.
This is a great opportunity for them, and they've got to get the ball up in the air and challenge Arapahoe's ability to defend their box in the air. And they've already scored that way. And you can see Raphael on the sideline telling him where he wants it.
This is David Pierce with the kick. It's high and wide over the top, it looked like.
When you saw there, Arapahoe did a great job. They brought, you can't be offsides, obviously, so they brought their team up to the edge of the 18 and left a huge, they left the entire 18-yard box for their goalkeeper to come get. So that was a good play on the Arapahoe defense. You can't really fault Arvada West for not challenging the keeper there. He tried his best to get his shot off, and it just went over.
So that chance by Arvada West goes by the boards. It remains 3-2. Casey Conley sends it back in. Lambert trying to control. He's taken off the ball by Dan Noble. That's Yak chasing it down on the far side. Noble, the throw-in. There's a moon ball. Still in play, though.
A reminder to fans, official time is kept on the field. The last 2 minutes of the game will be timed on the field.
And there's a collision. Wow.
Good, solid tackle.
That was David Myers taking Brinkman out. Myers of the Warriors. And we're, I believe our time is running short for the Wildcats. Kaus is going to cover this up. Arvada West is running out of chances here to pull even in this thing and send it into overtime.
Arapahoe content just to knock it back into the other end of the field, and that's a smart move at this point. They have time to settle it and find a midfielder or find a forward's feet, that's fine, but with less than a minute to play, get it into the other end of the field, organize yourselves defensively, and just be willing to withstand any sort of pressure you might get in the last couple of minutes. Don't give anything away, don't make any simple mistakes. They should be able to hold on here. They just wait too long when they get to one side of the field before they decide where they're going to go. That's really been Arvada West's biggest problem. They'll get right here, and then they just stay over there too long. And you can see how many Arapahoe players swarmed into that area.
Exactly.
Wanting to keep them right there. And I think that's been one of the bigger tactical things of the night is Arvada West's inability to get from side to side as they go forward, and Arapahoe's ability to keep them on one side, which is exactly what you want to do defensively.
Moyers with the throw-in. Arapahoe still keeping it in the zone. Let's see if Kaus comes out. He knocks it away. That was a close call. Arapahoe putting the pressure on again. Arvada West has trying to get a rush organized here. Whittler,
who has not quit all night, I might add.
Again in there, yeah, sticking his head right in there.
He has been there all night battling.
Andy Dixon still there, and Arapahoe is still going to control. That's Ivan Wood. Sends it upfield. Chad Watts. And that is the end of the game. Arapahoe has defended their championship in the 5A classification, defeating Arvada West 3-2 here at Englewood High School, and Tom Stone, a well-played match.
It really was, and give both teams credit. Arvada West coming out of nowhere to get to the championship game, give their program credit, give Rafael Amaya credit, but you've got to give the ultimate congratulations to Coach Bass and his staff and his team for winning 6A last year, coming into 5A with everyone involved, and winning his second consecutive state championship with a lot of class and a lot of style.
It's very hard to defend a title at any level in any sport. You can see the dejected Arvada West side. That's a reaction everybody's familiar with in any sport. You get all the way to the top, and when you lose a game like this, it's the ultimate win if you win, and it's the ultimate loss if you lose.
It is, but as we spoke about Arvada West coming from where they did, you know, if these younger players that are on the team that maybe were on the bench tonight and have seen what can happen if they push themselves to this level, it's just big time for them, and they can continue this on in years to come.
Arapahoe Warriors being congratulated by their faithful on the field now. You can see the steam, you know, from everybody's breath. There's 2 in a row. That's right. The signal coming there from Jeff Yak. He was instrumental, scored a goal in this match. It was Yak and Andy Dixon. Let's see, who else was there? Chad Watts, I believe. And Jake Jenkins, of course, 2 assists. A huge game. There's a happy mother. And some consolation for some of the losers. That is Zach Fisher.
I think we picked him up there telling his goalkeeper he saved everything he could not to worry about it. Yeah, that's so true. Goalkeepers can do so many things for you, but they can't stop everything. And there were some quality chances missed by both teams, but I think the goals that he gave up were really not his fault. And he was really left to hang out to dry on one of them. So he played well.
And Fairley was saved by the crossbar on the one kick by Brinkman. So Lady Luck smiles down in some respects on Arapahoe Warriors. I'm Dallas Davidson for Tom Stone. The executive producer for Amateur Sports Video is Eric Robinson. The final, Arapahoe 3, Arvada West 2. Goodbye from Englewood.
So the Raptors will take over. First down and 10 at their own 2-yard line. Hedrick will quick pitch it out to Damian Brown. Brown's got a lead blocker in Sovereign. Across the 20, 30. He's going to break it up to the 50, 40. Damian Brown's going to go all the way. 98 yards from scrimmage goes Damian Brown for the touchdown. And Bryce Hedrick, the first guy down there to pick him up. And unbelievable. Damian Brown, 98 yards from the line of scrimmage.
Ready to throw it up. Dave Tannen with Eric Robinson on camera for Amateur Sports Video. Smoky Hill in the home whites, Cherry Creek in the traveling red, and Creek controls the tip. Underneath quickly, easy, quick 2 points, goes to Brock Roulier for the layup, right-handed. Backwards. Nate Horton, the sophomore, starting for Smoky Hill, brings it up. Henry into the corner for Wood, leading scorer, works his way through and ties it. 2 points, 2-all. Smoky Hill will press ineffectively.
I'm Todd Casper, and I attend Smoky Hill High School in Aurora, Colorado. I will be a senior there for the 1994 and 95 school year. Smoky Hill is a recognized school of excellence by the United States Department of Education. At Smoky Hill, I have maintained a perfect 4.0 GPA in advanced placement, college preparatory, and pre-international baccalaureate curriculum. My ultimate career ambition is to become a Major League Baseball player. However, I realize that this is not always possible. So I realize I must have something to fall back on, like college. In a college, I am looking for the best possible baseball program for the best possible academic program. My main interests in academics are medicine, more specifically ophthalmology.
Hey! Eyes up on me! Come on, eyes up on me, plant hard. Eyes up on me! Eyes on me, Robert! Eyes on me! Come on, eyes up, sprint! Come on, eyes up, Jack! Eyes up, Weimer! Come on, baby! How we play, baby!
Henry now under center. Runs play action, rolling out, got a receiver down there, wide open, Sam Talene hauls it in at the 35. Wide open was Sam Talene, and Talene pulls it in at the Buffalo 35-yard line and gets another yard as he fell forward to the 34. But he was wide open. Great protection. That offensive line of the Buffaloes rolled out with Henry when he went that way. And Talene wide open downfield, and a big gainer for the Buffs as they're into Fairview territory at the 34-yard line now. I backfield behind Henry again. Mallory with the call. Mallory breaks it out to the 30, down to the 25.